This is a personal blog, just maybe so you can get to know me better if you care, and just because I had some interesting events today that I just thought I'd share. I'm looking for a new career at this point in time, starting, you might say, a second phase of life. Well, in actually a very real way, because I'm in my 40s. In the first 20 years of my life, I was occupied with many normal events, including a marriage, and a career in technology, and even a little bit of sales. But I did suffer from ADD during that time period. So I had an up and down career. I mean, there was plenty of great successes, but they were short, and then often they were followed by failures. So my track record in history is kind of mixed. It's a mixed bag. But then and that was largely, again, resulting from focus issues. And then in 2013, I cured my ADD, which created a very interesting dynamic, because that was really my only major weakness. Now, I'm not saying I'm good at everything, but I only had one really weakness then, and that has been fixed. So now I'm in this very unique situation where I have this really kind of broad and general high-level skill set, but a mediocre record. And in this day and age, where it is competitive in the marketplace, the job marketplace, you're often competing against 28-year-olds, 30-year-olds who do not have a mixed record. The reality is they don't have the skill set. They don't have all the ability, but they have a cleaner record. And so it can be tough for someone like me to stand out as the top guy when there's plenty of reasons, if you're a fear-based interviewer, to see negative potentiality that really isn't there. But by looking at my record, you might think it is, not realizing that it was all caused simply by an ADD issue, which has been fully resolved. So anyway, I had a job interview today, and it was a position that I felt was an incredibly good fit. First of all, let me just say that I was very excited about it, and it was about 50 minutes away, across major metropolitan area, and some very complex driving. It was about a 10:30 interview, and I left at 9:10. I really wanted to leave around 9, but it was about a 50-minute drive. So I do rely upon Google Maps just off of my phone to get around, and I'm always able to eventually connect to Google Maps, and it works wonderfully. So let me tell you, today was crazy. All dressed, nice suit, got in the car, started driving, and was trying to connect to Google Maps for my 50-minute journey across complex driving metropolitan area. And it just wouldn't connect. It just wouldn't connect. Normally, sometimes it can be 3 or 4 minutes, and then I eventually connect, and I get the route, and then I'm just led there nicely by the program. Today, it just wouldn't connect, and I've had a very strange life. I've had a lot of incredible events in my life of the highest order. Just a lot of statistically anomalous events. Okay. But, so here, the most important interview I've had in a while, and I'm just driving in the general direction I need to go, and I just could not connect to Google Maps. So, 45 minutes of trying, I eventually kind of got lost, maybe somewhat near the location. I didn't know where it was. It was now 10:05 for my 10:30 interview, and I had no idea where I was. I was just in major city, just quite concerned. So this brings an idea of consciousness, right? How do you handle those situations? So I'm telling myself, there's got to be a reason for this. I just have to stay calm, and if I stay calm, I'll be rewarded. I'll be rewarded. But it's not easy, but I do have that total awareness while it's going on. And at 10:05, after 45 minutes of not being able to connect to Google Maps, it finally connected quickly, got the route, and I suddenly saw where I was, and it said, you're 11 minutes away from the destination, you should be there at 10:16. And it was, dead on from that point on. And I was able to get back on track, take some roads I would have never thought of taking in a zillion years, of course, because I was totally lost, and arrived at the destination at 10:16 for my 10:30 interview. And then I spent 3 minutes composing myself, basically, and trying to calm down. So it worked out, but it was really scary, and it's the worst problem I've ever had with Google Maps, and it was today, the biggest interview. So that's just kind of strange. The interview itself, I did a pretty good job. I would say it was about a 7 out of a 10. On a 1 to 10 scale, it was a 7. It's tough for me to produce a better interview than that. And that is because of a number of factors, right? I'm frustrated by the fact my resume doesn't reflect who I am now. Also, if they probe deep into my background, they are going to find employment gaps and all kinds of things that if you're fear-based and you're judging me now based upon what happened 6 years ago, you could easily have great concern. And I get edgy about this. So that's one factor, is I'm very kind of self-conscious about my resume, which raises my tension level. Number two is because of my 20 years, you might say, my whole part of my life of somewhat underperforming. Because I have very high expectations of myself, because during my early years of life, I excelled incredibly well. So I built this self-expectation. I mean, I expect to be the best. When I walk in a room, I expect to be the best. Now, I mean, it sounds cocky, but I'm just saying that's because that's what happens when you excel from ages 4 to 16. It's in your programming, it's in your DNA. You expect to be one of the best. You expect to be a top performer. But of course, in my case, once I hit 16, 17, I started declining. So then I had all that years of frustration, expecting a lot out of myself, but in fact, not performing that well. So, it's very frustrating. And so that builds up a lot of will, and desire, and frustration. So it carries that into today, into an interview like that, right? So I'm self-conscious about my resume, and then especially when it's positioned that I really like, I know I'm going to kick butt in it. I mean, it's not even an issue. Normally, when I go into a job, the chance of me succeeding in that job are, in most cases, right around 100, 99 to 100%, because I'm so motivated and I have a very good general skill set. And I know how to interact with people. I just have good general skills in a lot of different areas. The problem is getting the job. Just because you can do the job doesn't mean you can get the job. So that's why it is tough for me to generally do better than a 7 out of 10 on an interview, because I have so much deeply embedded energy and rage and will and frustration in my soul that can often come out at some point. So when I go into an interview, I am working so hard to stay calm and to speak slowly. It's almost my sole focus. Also, it's my sole focus not to be too confident, because I can just overwhelm an employer. I can just say outrageous things because I have so much belief and confidence. It's a very weird thing. I mean, I have a very unique energy signature. Actually, even psychics who read my energy, I guess, feel a lot of heat. I think that's because of the love in my heart, maybe, or the anger. It's one of the two. But they generally, I think, feel a big heat off of my aura, potentially. Anyway, so the interview went relatively well, for me. I don't know if I'll get the position. But on that note, the product that was involved, okay, I'm a pretty high consciousness person, right? I consider myself that. And there's not a lot of work I even want to do, because most of the society is just selling, toxins and crap and materialism, and it's just a cheap kind of shell society. This is not a case. This is an incredible product that has healing attributes, yet is somewhat expensive. So one could make some very good money while at the same time doing very good things. I mean, it's very, very real. So very excited about the product. In fact, this evening, I actually called my dad and I told him about it. That's incredibly rare, and that's a very good sign. So definitely interested in the company in a very real way. Unfortunately, I'm not going to hear back for a long time, because the guy has to go out of country next week. It's just the way it is. So that's part of my story. But continues. I'm at the end of the interview. He said I would like some business references, which is natural and very common. They weren't listed specifically on my resume. So I realized I had to go back and make sure that the numbers were correct. And I did just call one of them to connect with one of my old kind of friends, co-worker, but a very, very good guy. And this is on the East Coast. And I caught him and I'm like, hey, how you doing? And I, reconnected with him quickly, and he sounded a little tense. This is a high-level finance guy. Okay, high-level finance guy. And I said, are you okay? Like, his voice didn't sound right. I said, are you okay? And he said, well, not really. My father was murdered. So he then went ahead and told me, and that was that was this year. He went ahead and told me about his father, and I just can share with you in most general terms. It's pretty amazing because his father was assassinated. Just like maybe a Tom Clancy novel, John Grisham novel, whatever. His father was assassinated. I mean, we're talking just like you can kind of imagine, upscale home on a river, kind of a semi-rich area, older guy, late at night, and he was flat out assassinated by high-level, basically assassins, I would say. No break-in, and this is a good fellow, by the way. But anyway, yeah, he was shot multiple times in the back, out of the blue. This is an older retired guy. And everyone generally liked him. But anyway, so I got some insight into how it might happen, but I just want to let you know, these things do happen. He was affiliated with a government organization that you might think would have been part of the reason that this might have happened, like he knew something, and I don't think that was the case. I believe that there was, either maybe an issue with a neighbor who had a military background, or a family member may have been involved in something, not necessarily negative, but had been put in a difficult situation, very difficult situation, where people were outed and millions and millions of dollars were lost and stuff like that. So, but anyway, it's unsolved. I mean, this is a kind of a creepy thing in a way, but just kind of an interesting, you don't expect that when you call one of your good buddies in the past. So I had a pretty eventful day, and just wanted to share that, get to know a little more about me. Yeah, I have a very unique energy signature, I would say, especially just because of the way that I had a lot of success when I was younger, and then kind of underperformed during much of my midlife. My prime, and retained all my fitness and such. So now I'm an old, somewhat older, but I'm just elite fitness. I have my full act together, you might say, except for the fact that I have this kind of weird mixed background. So I'm trying to reintegrate back into society and just get past people's thinking. I mean, it's just, that's the issue. And often I underperform the interviews, but today went pretty well. So we'll see how it goes. That's it. Have a great day. Peace and love to you. Bye.